Is your cold making it hard for you to get to sleep and leading to a bad morning? Switch to Mucinex Night Shift for fast, powerful nighttime multi-symptom cold and flu relief. Mucinex Night Shift fights your worst nighttime symptoms to help you get to sleep and wake up ready to go. Mucinex Night Shift. It's comeback season. Use as directed.
First, the bad news. SAP Business AI won't help you generate cubist versions of your family's holiday photos, but it will help you understand which supplier is best to help you roll out your plant-based packaging in Southeast Asia, identify the training your junior project manager needs to rise up the ranks, and automate repetitive tasks while you focus on big innovations so you can be ready for the next opportunity. Revolutionary technology, real-world results. That's SAP Business AI.
Atheists, agnostics, long-haired weirdos, short-haired weirdos, vandals, hooligans.
The government, hug the government, love the government, hug the government, love the government, hug the government.
Welcome to The Politics Guys, a place for bipartisan, rational, and civil debate on American politics and policy.
Welcome to the Politics Guys midweek show. Again, it's Jay and Justin here. Justin, who is, of course, a professor at the University of Northern Iowa. I goofed up the name last week, so I apologize to you and your institution.
You didn't put us in Idaho or Ohio, so I'll take it.
Yeah. I thought I got the northern and I got the state correct, but I just had those words in the wrong order. So, the bonus show is where we get to just sort of spin out other ideas, and it's a little more freewheeling. And Justin, something I wanted to talk about that's come up in the last week is the closing arguments of the election, and this closing arguments sort of in the 2020 election as well, is that Democrats are dropping the F-bomb on Trump, calling him a fascist. And I think this is like a fascinating sort of issue because, because fascism means something sort of very particular in a political science world. I don't want to be one of those like pointy-headed academics who say, well, look, what they're talking about isn't technically, gain of function research, or it's not technically a critical race theory. But I do think there's something that, because we are essentially a political science show, we could have a sort of enlightened talk about what fascism is, what fascism isn't, and where Trump fits in on that scale. So, in 1946, 47, George Orwell, who knew a thing or two about fascism, lamented that the word fascism has no longer has any meaning except insofar as it signifies something not desirable. And my sense is that's often how it's being used by Kamala Harris. I think Biden called him a semi-fascist, proto-fascist, not quite fascist. Kamala Harris recently went in with the whole fascist, quoting his former chief of staff, who called him a fascist in a book, and others who have brought up the Trump as Hitler type meme. And I think I do want to separate because all fascism isn't Hitler, and not all Hitler is fascism. Oh, I suppose not. It's not exactly quite correct, but
I think the first point is spot on, and I've got to ponder the second point a little bit. But
let me put it. There are variations in Hitler's version of fascism that are different from other versions of fascism that I think can be significant. So, Justin, my typical, is my studies, but again, you're much smarter than me, is that, there are a couple core tenets of fascism, and that one is probably the foremost, right, is the strong leader, right? There is a authoritarian figure who sort of represents society, and secondly, drives society forward to a goal. There is sort of a typically what you would describe as a war footing, right, for internal issues. There is a sense of everyone rowing together. There is in different variations an appeal to what in the German version is called a Volkishness, right? It's a sort of in touch with the people and the ground, and the European idea of sort of, blood and soil and so forth, which we don't really have here so much in America. There is the militarism that goes with it, that there is a sense of you want to project power not only internally but externally, conquering neighbors, restoring empires, and so forth. It was, sort of Mussolini's vision that he saw himself as sort of, creating a restored Roman Empire, and Hitler, of course, with a 1,000-year Reich. There's sort of a reaching back to a mythical past. And again, you can look at the Mussolini example of the ancient Rome and Hitler's vision of sort of, this Teutonic strength, based, this Norse paganistic sort of society. There is abuse of civil liberties, the use of the justice system to bring about the fascist ends. And the idea is that, again, in the end, the leader and the state are one. So I come to this with when Trump is accused of being a fascist, I think there's a lot of boxes that he may check on this. Mike said he thought Trump ticked all the boxes, but I don't know that he does. So I want to talk about, first of all, my thoughts of which boxes he does tick, and whether that's fascism or it's just plain authoritarianism. Now, this isn't to say that being, checking off half of the fascist boxes is good.
Yeah, no, I think there are.
But I'm one of. This is just an opportunity but it's sort of like, there's different kinds of cancer. None of them are particularly good that you want to have, but
or better.
Yeah, but and they bring there are different methods to treat different cancers depending on what you have. So to me, that's sort of how I look at this in terms of why diagnosis is important when we talk about, the admittedly from my standpoint, right, of a Trump as a leader, that there are things that trouble me, greatly. But Justin, I'll let you start, or maybe better.
Could I interject?
You can give your view, definition of fascism in case there's stuff I missed.
What do Mattel, Banana Republic, ButcherBox, and Glossier all have in common? They power their businesses with Shopify. Shopify is the most innovative and scaled commerce platform on the planet that also happens to have the best converting checkout on the planet. And that's no industry secret. That's Shopify. Learn more at shopify.com/enterprise.
Listen closely as a master painter carefully brushes Benjamin Moore Regal Select down the seam of the wall. It's like poetry in motion. Benjamin Moore, see the love.
Yeah, because I wanted to jump on that, and then I think, to talk through kind of the, let's apply it to the current situation. So I think one of the challenges with a lot of social science things, and I like that you brought up cancer, because I use this sometimes with students as a thing, in terms of thinking of diagnostic, that, social science stuff, I take seriously the idea that political science is a science, but we are squishier in a lot of ways than other sciences. Like you have cancer or you don't, and we have kind of a like there's not a fight amongst doctors, I don't think, about whether or not you have cancer. Like that's not a discussion that we have.
There is an empirical test that you can apply.
Exactly. And, I think we strive to that in political science, but we do especially with really important things, we don't always have a consensus definition. And so, thinking through, kind of what you have as you kind of, as we broached this on the Slack the other day, I started looking around a little bit, and I landed on Umberto Eco's version of this, which is a 14-point thing, and I promise I won't talk about all 14 points. But, much like Orwell having experience, he grew up part of his time in Mussolini's Italy, and so has, some thoughts on this as well. And kind of looking through this, I mean, it's a lot of the same stuff. It maybe emphasizes some different things, adds some other things into the mix. But I did, I think we're sort of engaged in the same project where it's like, well, here's a definition with some, some boxes. Let's see, how many they Trump ticks. And, I do think, finding sort of a end all agreed on definition is kind of hard. I will say, kind of spoiler alert, I land in a similar place in a lot of ways here that, I'm not sure that he reaches full on fascism. With the caveat that it's a more nebulous concept, I think, perhaps. But I do agree, one, that, words have meanings and terms and whatnot, and it's good to use them and not just throw them around as an epithet. Could say the same thing about socialism, if we're talking, other isms and contemporary.
Oh, no, yeah, fair enough. Yeah, I think that's, I would argue that's exactly right.
Well, the funny thing, I put on a panel a couple of years ago to talk socialism, kind of when Bernie Sanders was a big thing, for students. And, the interesting thing was kind of our department of political psychology, as our political economist pretty much said, there's no real definition of socialism, there's no metric that everybody agrees on. So, but I think, I think the broad contours, I think people tend to agree on. I don't think Trump's Hitler. I don't know if he's a fascist or not, to be honest. But I share similar trouble that there are lots of ways that you can be not good, to use technical.
Right. So for example, you
don't have to be a fascist to be bad.
Yeah. I think that's.
And I guess just to the point where we're talking about ticking any boxes is enough to really give me pause. Whether it's all of them or not. I got to say, this is one of those moments where I say, in 30 years of studying political science, this is not a discussion that I thought I'd be having. At some point.
And here I am for it.
And here we are.
Well, no, I actually took, and it really was one of my favorite courses in college. There was a sort of Nazism and fascism, and sort of went into the whole varieties of fascism and the philosophical roots behind it. And the idea that look, I think right now as Americans, we tend to equate fascism with some strong leader, demagogue getting up and, rallying up the mob to do something horrific. And there's certainly, that isn't an easy sort of definition, but there's a lot of other stuff that goes into it. I think when we broach this as a potential topic, I said that, anytime somebody calls Trump a fascist, I think Mussolini's got to be rolling in his grave saying, here, come on, this guy, seriously? In that there is a certain, I don't want to say seriousness, but there is philosophy behind fascism that I don't think Trump actually has. I think he is someone who respects, reveres, and perhaps puts too much emphasis on the idea of strength and being strong and being tough. And that's certainly an element of fascism. But it's an element of other things as well.
We hope you enjoyed this preview of our supporters exclusive midweek show. If you'd like to hear the rest of the episode, we hope you'll consider becoming a supporter. Supporters get ad-free access to all of our shows, membership in our Politics Guys Discord group where you can join in on the conversation, and other benefits at different levels of support. To become a supporter, go to patreon.com/politicsguys. You can also support us through Venmo or @politicsguys, or through PayPal. You'll find all of our support links in the show notes, as well as at politicsguys.com/support. And if you'd like to get the midweek show, but you're not in a position to become a financial supporter, that's not a problem. Just send me an email at mike@politicsguys.com, and I'll be happy to get that set up for you.
This podcast is part of the Democracy Group,